Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Northside 9 at 4-Star Chicago Sports. And today we're talking playoff push. Can the Cubs hold off the Brewers and win the NL Central? Man, it's going to be tough, especially after last night. We're going to take a look at the look ahead, and we got some news and nuggets. You don't want to miss it. Next. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to 4-Star Chicago Sports. We are live, and we are in a playoff push. The rush to October began yesterday. The Cubs answered the bell, taking down a Boston Red Sox 4-1, snapping that 10-game win streak. Some impressive stuff from one Colin Ray. Once again, he seems to be on a hitter. Kyle, what were your impressions of the Cubs coming out of this break?
Yeah, Sean, Colin Ray's back to his he's a very inconsistent pitcher. If you look at his career overall, he has stretches where he's very bad and he has stretches where he's very good, and he's obviously on heat right now. He's been good for the last 4 starts. Right now, you could make an argument the last 4 starts, he's been their best pitcher. But, yeah, I mean, the team as a whole looked good. Seiya Suzuki, obviously not too happy about getting snubbed from the All-Star game. He's been amazing since they made that announcement that he was not going to play in the All-Star game. Obviously, that pissed him off. Adds 3 more RBIs yesterday in the first inning. I think he ended up going, 2 for 4. Yeah, they look good. They look like they picked up right where they left off, and they cooled down a red-hot Red Sox team.
Yeah, and we've given Colin Ray a lot of smack talk through the season, but another ray of sunshine yesterday. I was a little nervous going into that game with the red-hot Red Sox, even though they came in 4 games under 500 on the road, seemed to struggle a little bit, are down a run per game on the road, but that's still a dangerous lineup. That Roman Anthony is on a tear, but the last 4 starts for Colin Ray, that 190, sparkling 190 earned run average, and that sparkling .93 whip, 23.2 innings pitched, so he's almost getting through 6. Cubs are 4-0 in those starts, and he started 17 games. Cubs are 13-4, so they're flying that W when he gets on the bump. So that's kind of exciting. It's kind of exciting because one of the things that I'm taking away as this playoff push starts, and you look over all these possible trades and people that the Cubs can add to this rotation, there's just no front end starters. But for me, and I wanted to get your opinion on this, Kyle, because I started looking into the history of this, and bullpen games in the playoffs and in the World Series have always been a really big part. The Dodgers did it last year on their way in the World Series and in the playoffs on their way to the a world championship. So for me, adding to this bullpen is going to be just as important, because even if you go into that Brewers game yesterday in which they shut down in Chavez Ravine the Los Angeles Dodgers again, and you look over the history of what they're doing with their pitchers are going about 6 innings as well. So locking down these last 4 innings are going to be so important. So that was kind of my lean towards the Mitch Keller, David Bednar trade, or somebody who's going to add to the back end of this bullpen. What are your thoughts on 5-6 innings and just this bullpen continuing to lock things down like they did yesterday against the Boston Red Sox?
Yeah, so I mean, you definitely need a good bullpen to win the World Series. I don't remember the last team to win the World Series who did not have one of the best bullpens in baseball, and I think the Cubs are going to add to that bullpen at some point in this before this trade deadline on the 31st. I think a name that Cubs fans should be looking out for, and a guy who is a realistic possibility, is the Atlanta Braves closer Iglesias. I think he's the guy that the Cubs have probably called about. I know that their names have Cubs been mentioned when his name is in the rumor mill. I know that they've definitely had some conversations about it. It's a guy I think is kind of a cheap option, Sean, because he's 35 years old. He's not going to be here for long. He's more like a rental. He hasn't been as good lately as he is the rest of his career, but he is still a good pitcher who still throws fire. So that's the guy I'd keep my eye on. But yeah, I like the Bednar trade. I do. And I like Mitch Keller. But Sean, I mean, if you're talking about going up against some of these pitchers like the Milwaukee Brewers have in Peralta, Mizrowski, Woodruff, we'll talk about another guy on their rotation here soon. But I think the Cubs still do need at least a number 3 pitcher in the rotation, a guy who could you would get Imanaga, Matthew Boyd, and then obviously it would be Mitch Keller or whoever they decide to add. But they definitely need to add a starter to this rotation, no doubt about it. If they're going to make a push for the World Series, they need to add a starting pitcher.
Yeah, and Boyd's been a revelation, and I know I definitely a big revelation for the Chicago Cubs. But one thing I did want to talk about, and John Heyman put this out. I saw this morning that the Guardians are listening to trades for relievers, including stars Cade Smith and Emmanuel Clase. Prices are understandably high. They are seen as not too likely to trade either of their top pen guy with the MLB's easiest closing schedule. So they aren't necessarily sellers, but their ears are to the wall. Now, for me, this is one thing that I would like, and I know we were talking backstage. This is something that shows a little bit of concern for you in terms of signing a guy like Kyle Tucker long term, having Jose Ramirez, Emmanuel Claus, and Cade Smith in a deal. The thing I do like about it is you would have Clase for the next 3 years. You have him through 2028 at about $10 million a season. There are club options in 27 and 28. Cade Smith is under team control until 2030. Probably a reason why the Indians are like, we'll just keep him around. And then you have Jose Ramirez. He is 32, signed a 7-year extension worth $141 million in 2022. That is backloaded, so he'll be getting paid a little over $20 million over the last 3 years of that deal, or 2 years of the deal that the Cubs will be responsible for. If the Cubs were to make this deal and say, I mean, this would cost you probably Owen Casey, it probably cost you Jackson Wiggins, it would cost you some big time talent.
Well, Sean, and you'd be certainly be giving them Matt Shaw, because Jose Ramirez would be your third baseman for the next 3 years. So
yep.
You would certainly be giving up Matt Shaw. I mean, there's 2 reasons why this trade would work. First of all, you said that the Indians would be willing to keep Cadillac Smith because they have control of the 2030. I mean, Sean, the Indians are not anywhere near good enough to win a World Series, and I don't think they're going to be by 2030 unless they're willing to spend a lot of money like the Yankees and the Dodgers in the offseason and just add a bunch of studs. And the Chicago Cubs have a farm system to really help somebody start a rebuild, right? If the Cubs traded 5 of their top prospects to a team tomorrow, that's a really good start for rebuild. If you're talking about Owen Casey, Matt Shaw, Jackson Wiggins, you're talking about a team who, if these guys are in the majors by 2027, 2028, they could be a very good team if they make the right moves. I think that trade could work. The only problem is I just don't think the Cubs are willing to take on that Jose Ramirez contract, especially if they're considering extending Kyle Tucker. And I don't think the Indians are willing to give up all 3 of those players in the same trade. I think they think they could get more if they spread those trades out.
Spread those guys out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, for me, Cade Smith would probably not be the biggest concern. Like if we didn't get him, the biggest thing the biggest news on the trade market was the Minnesota Twins coming out and saying they will not be entertaining offers for Joe Ryan. And this was a guy that was very high on my list, with a Willie Castro and maybe a Griffin Jacks. Any combination of those guys coming over to Chicago would definitely be something I think would help put the Cubs over the hump. So that kind of sucked, that news coming out this week. But the Diamondbacks did say that Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and Mr. Suarez are going to be available for trade. Now, with that being said, immediately I heard the Yankees were involved in a Suarez deal, and a couple other ball clubs are jumping all over Suarez. I mean, who wouldn't want a guy who's just absolutely raking? This is a big, big need for the Cubs. So I really don't know where the Cubs are going to go right now, or even what is cooking, but it does seem as though Jed Hoyer has something cooking. And you read an article. You care to share with us a little bit about what you read about what Jed Hoyer is up to?
Yeah, I mean, right now, Sean, Jed Hoyer is just kind of laying back and see what happens in this trade market. We saw that the trade market got rolling right after the All-Star break with the Pirates trading what's the position, Adam Frazier, right, to the Royals. So the ball has started to roll, man. These teams are going to start making trades here for the next week until the trade deadline on the 31st. If the Cubs want to add somebody, now is the time to do it. And I think the Cubs have been doing their homework for a long time now, Sean, a long time. I think they started looking at starting pitching probably right after Imanaga got hurt. So they should be ahead of the rest of these clubs in terms of who they want, where they're looking, the conversations they've had. But I think he's just going to lay back and wait, man. I honestly don't think the Cubs are going to have it. Listen, guys, there's nobody in free agency who's going to be like a Tariq Skubal, right? You're not going to get anybody who's going to be your number one ace going into the playoffs and is going to compete with guys like Mizrowski and Peralta. The Cubs are going to need to get the most out of Shota Imanaga, Matthew Boyd, and whoever they trade for. I guess, Mitch Keller could be your number 3, but they're going to have to win a World Series by their offense. That's the only way the Cubs are going to do this. So I'm actually right now, Sean, 3 weeks ago, if you said what do the Cubs need to add in this trade deadline, I would have said a starting pitcher. I'm more concerned about that third base now. If the Cubs are going to win a World Series by offense and bullpen, they need to go get a guy like Suarez. Yeah. So if he's available, the Cubs should be the first people on the list. They should be giving up an Owen Casey for him. And I'm sure the Braves or the Diamondbacks would love to have an Owen Casey in their farm system, because I think Owen Casey, of all the Cubs prospects, is probably the most MLB ready. He's probably pretty damn close to joining the show.
He's certainly been on fire. And before we're going to continue, I'm sure this is going to be part of this conversation as we roll through. I do usually update everybody on what's going on with some injuries and the Chicago Cubs getting getting some bullpen help, getting a catcher back. So let's take a look at this injury report really quick. And Carter Hawkins earlier this week gave us a little insight to what we're looking at as well.
Owen Casey's name has come up a lot. What does it take to part with a guy like Casey or somebody like...
Hold on, that was not the one I was looking for. This is the one I was looking for. Hold on, please.
What is the latest on Miguel Amaya and Javier Assad? When I think about acquiring players, getting your own guys back is a huge help, obviously. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I think we're looking at August for both of those guys, which would be really, really nice to have them back. Now, our catching group has done great as Miggy's been out. Obviously, Reese McGuire's been outstanding in terms of his ability to be our second catcher, and Carson's had just a heck of a year. And then, obviously, the more starting pitching you can have, the better. And certainly a guy like Javi that's done it before and pitched in multiple roles will be great to have. So we'll get the.
So we do have some help on the way in just a couple of weeks. As you see, Miguel Amaya is taking live BP as of yesterday. Javier Assad has a rehab start coming up next Thursday. Porter Hodges a BP session tomorrow. And JMO seems to be the furthest away, as he will throw off the mound after the Cubs' next road trip. The Cubs' next road trip is in Milwaukee a week from – they go to the White Sox and then to Milwaukee and then back to Chicago. So you're looking at another 7-8 days before JMO is even going on the bump to start trying to throw. So JMO, whatever he did to that strained calf, seems to be pretty serious, as he's going to be out for a number of days.
The closer they get to the playoffs, the more safe they're going to play it. Like he could probably start pitching in 3 days, but they're like, well, if he could start pitching in 3 days, let's make it 7, let's make it 8. I mean, Sean, that's what you see all these teams doing right now. All the teams who are competing for World Series, they are resting. Shouldn't say resting, but they are taking their time with a lot of these injuries. But I do like what Leah Larimi said. One thing there, she said,
"Yeah, sorry, that was courtesy of the Score Sports Radio 670."
Yeah, she said getting some of your injured players back is almost like acquiring a trade piece at the deadline. I mean, it's like Ohtani on the Dodgers. Putting that guy in your pitching rotation is like adding a Skubal in the trade market. I mean, that's what the Cubs need more than anything, Sean. They just got to get healthy. And I know that no baseball team is ever 100% healthy, but the Cubs do seem to be one of the teams who have been bit by the injury bug more often than not lately, and especially the last couple of years. But I think a guy like Assad could help you big time. I think he would be your best long inning relief pitcher if that's what they decide to do with him, which I'm assuming is probably going to be the move they're going to make. So having Assad up here is huge, because then if you do get that Colin Ray that struggles a little bit, or that Jamison Tyon that's struggling a little bit, you can pull him in the 3rd or the 4th and have Assad get you through the 6th or the 7th. That would be huge for them. And obviously, Sean, when he was healthy, Porter Hodge looked absolutely phenomenal. He's a huge piece for that bullpen, and it would be nice to have him back. And then Amaya, I mean, the guy was, I think, what he said, 280 with 26 doubles or something like that.
Yeah, he was on fire.
Amaya has been everything the Cubs fans wanted him to be, and unfortunately, he's just dealing with that oblique injury. But yeah, to get those guys back is huge, Sean. It's like adding 3 players at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I obviously I love Miggy. I've been a big fan of his for a while, but like you said, man, getting Assad back, and as Bruce just stated here, you know, hopefully, when Porter Hodge comes back, he returns to form because he looked a little shaky in his return. What's up, Crooked man? Thanks for jumping in, bro.
Remember, guys, both. Yeah, what's going on, Crooked? Nice to see you, man. Remember, guys, both those games that Porter Hodge got absolutely destroyed, he was put on the IL the next day. So, yeah. I mean, I'm going to assume both of those games in which he pitched as poorly as he has since he's been in the pros were due to injury. I mean, I'm not saying, I know it's an easy excuse and it's easy way out for Porter Hodge, but obviously something was bothering him that the Cubs felt they needed to put him on the injured list. So I think when he's healthy, Porter Hodge is exactly who we think he is. I think he's a really good bullpen pitcher. But Sean, you could tell when you watched him last, the ball was just not coming out the same, man. It was a different delivery, and I think that was due to some ailment he had going on. And yeah, you know, at this point in the season, Sean, let's face it, a lot of these guys are banged up. A lot of these guys are not 100% healthy. You know, a lot of these guys, especially pitchers, man, it's the most unnatural motion you can do in sports. You know, you're talking about guys like Sean. I think is this the most Matthew Boyd's ever pitched?
It's getting close. I don't think it is, but it's getting close for Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, I mean, this is just it's a grueling season, as a lot of baseball fans have talked about, maybe cutting the season down from 162 games to 140 or something like that. But I mean, it certainly makes sense. It's almost impossible to be 100% healthy at this point in the season. Hopefully, the All-Star break helped some of these guys heal up a little bit.
So he is at 111 innings pitched right now. The most he ever pitched was in 2019. That was $185. And the year before that, $170. But in between those years, this is, he had 135 in 2017. So 17, 18, 19 were the 3 most. But ever since then, it's been 60, 78, 13, 71, 39. So it's been a number of years since Matthew Boyd has been able to get to this level. So, and that was one thing I'd really like. The Cubs just decided we're going to manage him a little bit. I love them holding him out of the All-Star game. I don't give a shit about pitching in an All-Star game. I care about him giving me 6-7 quality innings every 5th day for the Cubs. So I'm very happy. I'm happy he had a beautiful family out there. I don't know if you got a chance to see that, but his 4 children and his wife, they enjoyed the festivities. I'm glad he got to enjoy it. He also had that badass suit that he opened up with the W flag inside. That was awesome.
That's another reason why it would be huge to get a guy like Javier Assad back, Sean. I mean, Matthew Boyd's coming up on, by the end of the season, he's gonna be close to his record for innings pitched. Maybe you could take a day and give Matthew Boyd another day off, give him another 15, 16 day stretch where he doesn't have to pitch, and have a start with Chris Flexen and Javier Assad. Like, that's why these guys are so huge to this team. They need some of these injured players back. And it's just unfortunate because I think going into the season, Sean, you and I thought Assad would have been back well before the All-Star break. Like, but this thing just keeps lingering and lingering and lingering. But I think Javier Assad is incredibly undervalued by the Chicago Cubs fan base. I think this guy is one of the best pitchers in this organization when he's on and he's healthy. He's very good. And I know people talk about all the time, Javier Assad constantly gets in trouble. There's constantly men on base. Yeah, but if they're not scoring, I don't give a shit. I don't care. Listen.
Traffic is traffic.
Yeah, there's no such thing as an ugly win. There's no such thing as an ugly outing if you allow 0 runs. That's not an ugly outing. I don't care how you did it. It doesn't matter to me. As long as there's 0 on the board, it doesn't matter.
I'll ask you this. Was Colin Ray's outing ugly yesterday? Because he had a lot of traffic. You know, uncharacteristic of him. Yesterday was the 2nd time all year he's allowed more than 3 walks in a ball game. But he was able to pitch around and get out of it.
You can say whatever you want about Colin Ray. He's got his ups and downs, but man, that guy does not walk people. He just doesn't. No, he's pitching down the middle. You can either hit it or you can't, but he does not walk people. And you know what, Sean? They did say on 670 the score. Unfortunately, I had to listen to most of the game. I didn't get to watch all of it, but they did say that there's 6 or 7 at bats in that game from both teams combined that probably would have been home runs if the wind wasn't blowing in 20 miles an hour yesterday. And I'm assuming some of those were from the Red Sox hitters. So it probably could have been worse, man. But this is baseball. It's one of the sports where the weather plays a huge role in what happens day to day. So
I know
Colin Ray.
I know Swanson was 2, Happ was 1, and Swanson was 2, Happ was 1, and
Suzuki's last at bat would have been a home run.
Yeah. So that's 4.
But you know what?
The Cubs are on their pitching staff yesterday.
These guys know this. They're not dumb. Like Colin Ray knows, hey, the wind's blowing in at 20 miles an hour. I'm pitching down the middle. Like these guys are going to home run. They're going to have to crush this thing. Absolutely crush it. I mean, these players know that. I'm sure that Giolito was thinking the same thing. He just didn't think that Seiya Suzuki was going to get enough of that one in the first inning. But man, if that's Seiya Suzuki, if the wind wasn't blowing in, that first inning home run by Seiya, that thing would have been 8 rows
across the street.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely destroyed that.
Well, we got to get into some uncomfortable truth here. And talk about this division, because I know we were coming out of the break like, yeah, the Dodgers in LA, they're gonna pay the Brewers back. And well, so far after one game, it hasn't gone so well. And I have a disturbing stat that kind of made my stomach turn when I was doing some research for the show today. Ugh, God, I'm going to throw up as I say it. The Brewers are 14-5 versus current first place teams, 11-2 combined versus the Dodgers, Phillies, Tigers, and Astros. Oh my Lord, does that just make me feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, Sean, they're legit. They're a legit World Series contender. Whether Cubs fans can hate them all, you can hate them all you want. I don't care. With that starting rotation, the Brewers, I think the Brewers right now, you can make an argument, have the best starting rotation in baseball. I really do.
They just.
I don't think that's a stretch of the mind. I mean, Sean, you just said they're 14-2 against the best teams in baseball. I mean, that's because of guys like Peralta, Woodruff, Mizorowski, and now the new one who just seems like every day they have a new pitcher who's dominant in this league. It's annoying.
Yeah, and let's get into it, because Quinn Priester, a lot of people don't know about this guy, but Quinn Priester has come out of nowhere, and he was acquired via trade from, I believe it was Pittsburgh. Oh no, it's from Boston. Pittsburgh traded him to Boston. Boston then traded him over to the Brewers, and Boston chose to never give this guy a shot before trading him over, and whether they didn't like his arsenal or believed he didn't have swing or miss stuff and he was going to develop, it's clear that Milwaukee has definitely found something. And for the Boston Red Sox over the past 2 calendar years, Chris Sale, Nick Pivetta, and now Quinn Priester have all gone away and all turned their careers around. So I hate to say something funny's going on in Boston, but I got to say, Kyle, the Brewers have done it again. I mean, they've done it again. And Quinn Priester is the first pitcher this season to throw a quality start against the Dodgers while striking out 10 players while walking none. And I will tell you another good thing. During this 10-game stretch that's on the screen right now, he has faced teams. He has beat Philly in Philly. He's beaten LA in LA. He's taken down Atlanta. He's taken down St. Louis. And I mind you, that was St. Louis. Well, St. Louis was in that hot stretch. The weird thing for Priester, his 2 bad starts in this 10-game stretch were against Miami and Minnesota. He allowed 7 earned runs and 7 2/3 innings. He did face the Cubs on 5-2 of 25. He went 4 1/3, 6 hits. The Cubs rocked him for 7 runs. But in reading his breakdown, he's increased his cutter usage. And what experts are saying, that's directly led to the breakout of making his slider more effective of a pitch for him. I will say this. I don't know what's going on with Quinn Priester, but this dude is definitely rocking right now. Quality start.
And there's 2 things to talk about here. What Priester did is made an adjustment, right, Sean?
Yeah.
He's starting to change his pitching arsenal up a little bit, or at least how often he uses these pitches. He's made an adjustment. The league will adjust to him as well. And if I was a betting man, Sean, I'd say this guy is probably closer to the guy he was in Boston and Pittsburgh than he is on the Brewers, because it's a smaller sample size, right? Like you can't have 2 months of good baseball and be like, well, this guy's absolutely just amazing. He's just going through an amazing stretch. Secondly, Sean, I know this sounds crazy, but beating the Dodgers right now over the last month is
not difficult.
Not really all that hard to do, because they really haven't been beating anybody. I mean, the Dodgers are obviously the lowest point in their season. This is probably going to be the biggest lull of the Dodgers season because I think there's just too good of a team to stay down for long. But yeah, I mean, it'd be one thing if they did that to the Phillies, coming out of the All-Star break. They shut down the Phillies, 10 strikeouts, not a single run allowed. But right now, that's kind of the Dodgers have been. They've been an easy win for the last month of the season, or at least the last 3 weeks. So I'm not going to read too much into Priester. I think if the fact that he's a right-hander, listen, it's cool. He added the changeup, and the slider is more effective. But I have a feeling if the Cubs see him again, the Cubs are going to put her on him. That's just what the Cubs do against right-handed pitchers, man. That's just too good of a lineup to stop. They're too good.
And the Cubs will see him again in Milwaukee next week after the White Sox, for the finale of a 3-game series.
Yeah, and watch. The Cubs are going to beat him up. Watch, because listen, Sean, as much as we could talk about how good this Brewers rotation is, and they have one of the best collective ERAs in baseball, the Cubs are now absolutely destroying baseball and run differential. This is not people. I think a lot of Cubs fans are nervous because we've seen Cubs teams in the past go on fire streaks where they are on a tear, on fire. This is who the Cubs are.
It's pretty consistent.
This is who they are. I mean, they've done it absolutely all season. I think they had maybe a 3-week stretch where we were like, what's going on with the Cubs bats? And then it was gone. But yeah, the left-handers I worry about for sure. The Priesters of the world, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, and as we talk about it, in 4 games against the Dodgers, as you said, it's been a little rough for the Dodgers versus the Brewers starters. It's getting a little concerning as today, Freddie Peralta, coming off 6 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs, and 7 strikeouts last week versus the Brewers, will face them again. He opposes Emmett Sheehan, who is making his 4th major league start. He's 1-0, 2.03 earned run average, 1.50 whip. He's been decent. And the Cubs, obviously, today, and we'll get into our predictions in just a little bit because we're going to talk about the strength of schedule. The Cubs will get Mr. Bayron Bello, 6-3, 314 earned run average, 70 strikeouts out in the year, and he will oppose the Shota Express. Shota has been phenomenal since his return from the IL. 3-1, 2.42 earned run average, a sparkling 0.69 whip, and teams are only hitting 158, 14 strikeouts behind 2 walks and 22 innings pitched. Obviously, we know any bad numbers that come out of Shota since his return happened in that both walks happened in Minnesota. In Minnesota, I'll say this for Quinn Priester, who's on a heater, Shota, who's been has been remarkable. The Minnesota Twins are the blip on both radars of both of these guys who have been unbelievable. But again, the Twins, again, I don't think the Twins are a bad baseball team as a whole. They're a good team. They're a good team. They're just not great. But as we get into this, we got to get into, can the Cubs win this division? This is what the Brewers have left on the schedule.
Sean, real quick, Crooked Commissioner's asking us a question here. I just want to make sure we can see. He said, did I miss the watch party? Sorry, I haven't been able to watch as much lately. No, Crooked Commissioner, we have not done a watch party yet. We will do that before that, or maybe even if the Cubs make the playoffs or like that wild card game, we can do a watch party for that. But we have not, as of yet, we have not done a watch party. We've all been really busy. Sean's been on vacation here a lot. I've got a ton of stuff going on. Vernon and Dustin got a ton of stuff going on, but we will find time at some point to do a watch party for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to arrange one, Commish, for the Yankees, but that crept up so gosh darn quick on us. And then it was a noon game, and it's like, oh, boy. I'm trying to see if we can find like a big-time series. And, with this 5-game set coming up against Milwaukee, that gives us a lot of time to plan this out because it's late August, I believe, mid-August. I think it's the 18th of August. Here, I can tell you right now. It is
18th through the 21st.
18th through the 21st. I think we're going to see if we can set something up for right in there because honestly, guys, if things keep going the way that they're going, that's going to be the most important series for the Chicago Cubs in 2025. You take 3 out of 2 there, and you take 3 out of 2 or 3 out of 5, there in that series in Chicago, where the Cubs are 32-14 now at home, you're looking really, really good to clinch this division, especially when you look at who the Cubs finished the season with. 3 against Colorado, baby. Well, the Brewers will take a trip down to San Diego, so that it's coming down. So let's get into this. Let's put the schedule back up here, and we talked about this a little bit last week, and just for head to head in the division is going to be so important. The Cardinals are kind of taking a back seat. The Cubs have a 3-2 lead over the Brewers, so they have a 1-game lead in the division. That's essentially right now too. They have 8 games left against the Brewers. The Cubs have to go essentially 5-3 in those 8 games remaining head to head in order to maintain their division. The division lead. Obviously, winning the game in between there would be important.
They could just go 4-4, right? Because they already have right now. They're already winning the series. So as long as they go 500 against the Brewers, they still have a game up on the Brewers. As long as they go 500.
And you know what? That's a really, really good chance that they can do something like similar to that. And as you look at that Brewers schedule that's up on the screen right now, the Cubs obviously 3 against Boston during that time, 3 against Kansas City, 3 against the White Sox, and 3 against Milwaukee. So the next 21 games, because after that they come home, Baltimore, 3 against Baltimore, 3 against Cincinnati and Chicago. Essentially, the Cubs are in and around Chicago, go to Wrigley North for 3 against Milwaukee, go to the South Side, not really road trips. The Cubs are in and around Chicago for the next 21 days, which is a good relief for the Chicago Cubs. Get to sleep in your own bed. I think that helps a lot. The trade deadline will be right after that Milwaukee series wraps up. Then you have, like we said, Baltimore, Cincinnati. The Cubs are at St. Louis, at Toronto versus Pittsburgh. Those 5 against Milwaukee, 3 against the Angels in Los Angeles, 3 at San Francisco, and 3 against Colorado. Unfortunately for the Cubs, they will wrap up the season on a 9-game road trip. That San Francisco series obviously will not be as easy. But when you look at strength of schedule for the Cubs so far have faced the 6th toughest schedule in baseball this year, while the Brewers have faced the 3rd easiest based on composite rankings, and have determined that the Brewers have the 7th easiest schedule, and by far the Cubs, with their remaining schedule, have had the hardest path thus far during the season, while the Brewers have had the 7th easiest path thus far through the season, if that makes any sense at all. Remaining, this is based on Tankathon, MLB Tankathon. The Cubs' remaining strength of schedule is 482. Well, and that makes them the 3rd easiest schedule. Well, from here on out, by contrast, the Brewers face a 515 win percentage, makes it the 4th toughest remaining schedule in baseball, 3rd toughest in the National League. So when we look at this, and Fangraphs has something different. When you look at Fangraphs has the Brewers at 10. Tankathon had them at 7. Fangraphs has the Cubs with the easiest schedule. Well, the Brewers are at 10th. So all this in a nutshell, and especially, we got a 5-game series. The entire rotation will, when they come to Wrigley, it's going to be 5-on-5 going into Wrigley, or going into next week. We already know, and I can tell you, it's Woodruff versus Ray. Shota will be in the last game, and Flexen, Ray, and Shota versus Mizorowski, Woodruff, and Priester. Kyle, where are we? Can the Cubs hold this off? Do we expect a trade? Do we get someone in this rotation?
Yeah, I mean, Sean, you talk about that 5-game series. So after the trade deadline, the Cubs will not. Well, Chris Flexen will not be in the rotation. Now you're talking about the last 3 games to end this month. I mean, Sean, first of all, you're playing in Milwaukee. I fully expect Milwaukee to take 2 or 3 of those games. 100%. Like if the Cubs could come out of Milwaukee with 1 win, I'd take
Kyle, really quick. It'll be Flexen. It'll be Flexen Woodruff to start, followed by Ray and Mizorowski. Don't like that matchup. And then Shota and Priester close it out. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, if they could take one of those games, I think that's a win for the Cubs, especially with how the Brewers have been playing with that rotation. I think if you can win one of those games, that's a plus. And then all you got to do is, like I said, to go 3-2 when you're at home here for that 5-game series with that makeup game. But yeah, I mean, Sean, winning this division is not going to be easy because the Milwaukee Brewers are legit. I know Cubs fans don't want to hear it. I know people are pissed off about it because it just seems like the Brewers never go away, but they are a legit baseball team. I think they can compete for a World Series. I really do with that pitching. And you know what, guys? I don't think it's anything huge, but I expect the Brewers to add at the trade deadline as well. I do. I think they're going to add somebody at some point in the trade. Although the Brewers have had some injury trouble as of late. Didn't they just lose somebody? Somebody just went on the IL for them.
You know, I would say that matters, but it doesn't seem like they skip a beat.
No, but this is a fielder, Sean. This isn't a pitcher, and they have had trouble scoring runs in the past, and that's always been kind of a thorn in the Brewers' side. And one of their best hitters just went on the IL. I think he's going to be there for a while. I forget who it is. I think it's Frelick.
Ooh, that would be good.
I'm almost positive he is on the IL list. So that's good for the Cubs. Hopefully he's still on the injured list by the time they play each other. But yeah, I don't know, man. It just seems like the Brewers have the Cubs number over the last 5-6 years, and they just continue to get better. And every single pitcher they bring up from the farm system is absolutely amazing. It just never stops for the Brewers. It's like to me, they seem like the new St. Louis Cardinals. Like they have taken over the role of setting the tone in this division, and they are the team to beat. And nothing's changed, Sean. I mean, this 5-man rotation of theirs is absolutely amazing. At some point, the Cubs are going to have to start. I don't know. I mean, where are you getting starting pitching from? Where are you getting starting pitching? It's going to compete with the guys like Peralta, Mizrowski, Woodruff. I mean, at some point, the Cubs either got to spend a lot of money or they got to start making trades. One or the other.
Yes, and it is Self-Prelick. He went on 7/13 onto the 10-day IL. Rhys Hoskins is also on the IL currently for the Brewers, I believe. I don't think it doesn't show that he came off. I apologize. I'm usually pretty prepared with this, but I didn't even realize anyone got hurt for the Brewers because they never skip a beat. They just traded for the Sox top draft pick who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, and all of a sudden is walking off every gosh darn game for the Brewers. I mean, these guys just keep catching lightning in a bottle. It almost becomes annoying to the fact that you're like, okay, you know, we got a breakout season from PCA, and it's just overshadowed because you got Quinn Priester and Jacob Mizrowski, who no one can hit. And all of a sudden, when you look at the Brewers, they're fourth in run differential in baseball. They're kicking teams in the teeth. It's so frustrating, especially when you look at everything they lost. They lost their closer in the offseason.
What's up, John?
Their setup man in the offseason. It is so gosh darn frustrating. It makes me want to break shit. I can't even lie. Every time I turn around the Brewers, you're like, oh, they've done it again? Are you kidding me? Again? Like
well, Sean, you know what this probably is? This is probably the sports gods evening out the balance here. What's happening is they know that the Bears are going to beat the shit out of the Packers for the next 10 years. So they're like, well, Wisconsin's got to have something. Let's give them two of the best pitchers in baseball to fill in their rotation there. I mean, yeah. Sean, I said this before the season. I don't know you remember this on this show. I think you had said you thought the Reds would finish second, and I still had the Brewers. And the reason I said the Brewers is because I'm like, Sean, they're going to bring somebody up from the farm system, somebody you and I have never heard of, never heard his name mentioned ever once, and he's going to be the best pitcher in baseball. And a la Mizrowski or Priester or any other guy that the Brewers bring up who just happens to be amazing when he's on the Milwaukee Brewers, but he couldn't hit to save if you put a gun to his head for the Chicago White Sox for how long?
Stupid. It's so stupid. I'm watching this guy, and the other day I thought the Cubs were going to gain. I thought the Cubs were going to gain a game. They were up 5-3 in the 9th inning against the Nationals. I'm like, all right, down 2 outs, runners on second and third, and here's Andrew Vaughn, game winning hit, 3-run hit. I'm just sitting here like, dude, you got my phone starts going buzz, buzz, buzz. I look at it. It's Andrew Devon does it again. I'm like, you got to be shitting me.
Yeah, and Sean, ultimately, Andrew Vaughn is who we think he is. The guy had a chance to prove himself for 4 years in Chicago. He couldn't do it. I think a lot of the times what people need is just a change of scenery, and you'll get that little hot. Sean, remember, it's like when Carson Kelly, when the season started, Carson Kelly hit what, 7 bombs in 12 days or something like that. But then ultimately, he started to turn into Carson Kelly that we've seen for the last 5, 6 years. He's consistent, but he's not amazing. He's not a superstar. He's not going to finish the season with 50 home runs. It's just sometimes that change of scenery, it kind of gives him a jolt, but he'll come back down to earth at some point for sure. So Andrew Vaughn, listen, John, I watch White Sox. I know you don't like them, so you don't like that. You don't watch them. I watch the White Sox when they're on and the Cubs aren't, because I have nothing against the White Sox. I want Chicago to be in the World Series every year, regardless of who it is. And obviously much bigger Cubs fan than White Sox fan, but I've watched Andrew Vaughn, and I rooting for the White Sox. I'm like, dude, can you just be the guy they've been selling us you're going to be since you came up, you and Luis Robert? Can either of you guys do anything for this team at all, for the love of God and all this holy? And I'm telling you, man, Andrew Vaughn is exactly who you think he is. He's a 200 hitter who has good streaks every once in a while, but he's not going to be like the savior for the Milwaukee Brewers offense by any means necessary. Sean, can I ask you a question real quick before I forget about it? The Cubs have, I guess, been heavily involved in the name Yoan Moncada. How do you feel about that?
I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I
please,
don't
God,
at all.
don't. If that's the solution at third base, I'm going to be absolutely furious, because that would be such a Cubs move. Let's go get the guy who's never played a full season in baseball. He has been hurt this year, so you know it's coming, right? You know that injury's coming because he's been hurt every year of his career. And let's bring him here for third base and send Matt Shaw down. Like, at that point, just leave Matt Shaw there. Just leave him there.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's hitting 230 with 7 dingers, who's never never lived up to his potential, and now we're gonna just chase lightning in a bottle. And look, man, the Cubs, I gotta say, the Cubs have had great luck with it. When you go back a couple of years of David Robertson, and even this year with, and dare I say, Matthew Boyd and the guy we talked about earlier.
It seems the opposite for the Cubs. Like, we just talked about Andrew Vaughn going to Milwaukee and being absolutely amazing. The Cubs traded for Isaac Paredes last year, and it was the worst stretch of his career after he got to the Chicago Cubs. It was the worst stretch of his career. It almost seemed like he didn't want to be here at all. Like, he just got so much worse. The Cubs can't do the same thing the Brewers do. They just can't. I don't know what it is about the Milwaukee Brewers, man, but they can find a way to make anybody good. Anybody.
I'll tell you this, man.
Sean, I think I could go join the Brewers tomorrow, and somehow I'd be pitching 104 miles an hour and be striking out the side on every inning. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it. The luck for Wisconsin sports has to run out at some point. It has to run out.
That's what I keep hoping. And as we talk about this, as we get back into some of this trade stuff, Jed Hoyer was in the dugout yesterday, and this is what he said, man.
Really, just all depends on the return, honestly. Like always, like no one's untouchable, but at the same time, like we have a lot of really good prospects, and you have to feel like you're getting commensurate value. So it really just depends on what's available.
And for me, when he says no one's untouchable, that means guys like my boy Rojas. Now, this is why I went to that Indians trade to begin with, because if I'm going to trade Rojas, I'm going to trade Wiggins. I want players back with team control. And that's kind of why the Minnesota trade intrigued me with Joe Ryan, because you're getting a pitcher with team control back. But maybe they still kick the tires on my boy Chris Bubik from the Royals, another young kid with team control. They have a couple of nice pen pieces that they can add. They don't have any hitting. They need hitting, so you're not answering your third base call there. But if the Cubs are looking at 5 players to upgrade this roster, you're looking at
Sean,
third baseman.
Another thing that was disappointing to me is why maybe you can answer this question for me. Why did the Royals trade for Adam Frazier?
I don't know. That's really weird.
I mean, does this team believe that they're a playoff contender? If they do, they're not trading anybody. Like, it seems to be like they're looking to add pieces. I
mean, there's 6 games out of the wild card. They'd have to jump the Twins, the Indians, the Angels, the Rangers, the Rays.
I mean, that list is not super impressive. I think they could jump those teams. I think, if anything, the Royals are probably going to continue to add before the trade. I think they are a wild card team. And let's face it, guys, with the amount of money the Royals have to spend year in, year out, the size of the market, the team where they stand in Major League Baseball, making a wild card game is probably to them considered to be like their World Series. Like, I understand that they won a World Series in 2015, but they somehow did it without spending any money. So the Royals just like to play meaningful baseball in late August and early September. That's what the Royals, I think that's their goal year in and year out. And if somehow they get lucky in a hot streak and they make it to the World Series, that would be like the cherry on top. But I really don't think that the Royals think they could consistently compete for World Series. So the best they could do for their fan base is just to continuously make the playoffs. So if they think they can do that this year, Sean, what scares me about the Chicago Cubs is if they do go all in, right? Say they trade away like half their farm system for 5 or 6 players. I think that indicates that they don't plan on Kyle Tucker being here, because I think what they're doing is, well, we got Tucker for 2 more months, so let's go all in right now and try to win a World Series before he's gone. I think that's what they would be telling the fan base. Like, we're going to go all in right now before Kyle Tucker is no longer standing in right field.
If I counterpoint, and this is to where John says, they may end up doing nothing, and it may be the right move for next year and beyond. For me, and I think this is for most, maybe front offices or fans, you're right there right now. You have a chance to go grab that brass ring. You're looking at the Dodgers and saying, okay, where's our roster stack up against the Dodgers and Phillies? Can we beat these 2 teams?
Well, and the Brewers. They're in the conversation, man.
I mean, they are in the conversation, but honestly, I think the Phillies, and if the Dodgers get right, are in a different tier ahead of the Cubs and the Brewers, if that makes any sense to anybody. Like, I just think, for one, that Phillies pitching staff, their front 3 and then that bullpen, I don't give a shit how healthy the Dodgers are. That's going to be a tough series for them because the Phillies pitching is so gosh darn good. When you talk about you could in a 5-game series have to face Zach Wheeler twice. This guy is lights out. He's in, lights are out. Forget about it. Against anybody. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Yes. Then you're going to back that up with Luzardo and who's that other guy they have in that Christopher Sanchez. I mean, you talk about a 1-2-3. That's a tough 1-2-3 for anybody. And
that's why I say the Brewers are in it, Sean, just because if that 1-2-3, if they're pitching right, and they have a good bullpen too, man. The Brewers have a very good bullpen as well. If those guys are pitching right, if they're healthy and they're all cylinders are firing, that Brewers rotation, man, that's scary. That's scary. Can you imagine facing Mizrowski twice?
No.
Series?
No.
I mean, it's scary. I think that Mizrowski at some point, maybe not this year, and I'm not wishing for this, Sean, because I don't wish injury on anybody, but he keeps throwing the way he's throwing. He's going to have some medical issues at some point in his career. There's no doubt about it. It's not even a question in my mind. At some point, Mizrowski's elbow or shoulder are going to start bothering him.
100%.
It's just the way he throws, how fast he throws, that torque he throws with. It's just kind of an awkward delivery. At some point, that's going to bite him in the ass. But if they stay healthy for the rest of the season, I'm telling you, Sean, nobody wants to play the Milwaukee Brewers in the playoffs. I promise you that.
And I will tell you this, as I'm looking at the stats right now, when it comes to the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Cubs have the best bullpen statistically through 97 games in now. So, and the Phillies, man, the Phillies bullpen was rocking. So the Cubs have a 350 out of their bullpen. The Brewers are 397. The Phillies are 435, which they've taken a big dip because they were one of the best bullpens. And I didn't think I realized that until right now. And then you're looking at the Dodgers, who spent all that money in their bullpen. They're rocking a 437. And when you look at the whip, man, the Cubs whip out of that bullpen, it's sparkling at 126. It's, let's see, 4th best in baseball. I mean, Houston has the best pen, and I'm so glad they're not in the National League because nobody wants to face the Houston Astros. Talk about a bang-up organization who just keeps pulling rabbits out of a hat, just like the Milwaukee Brewers.
I was going to say, it's time for the Brewers in that conversation as well. It just seems like they're just such a well-run organization. They can't do anything wrong. But, yeah, the only thing that scares me about the Cubs bullpen, and I can't keep saying this for the rest of the season because it's now too big of a sample size, but they just pitched too much. There's not a lot of swing and miss stuff for the Cubs bullpen, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all soft contact, and it's in front of one of the best defenses in baseball. So that's how they make their living. But it just scares the hell out of me because, Sean, knowing us, our luck, the playoffs are when the Cubs bullpen will finally be like, yeah, this is who we are. We give up
somewhere else.
Knowing our luck, the Cubs bullpen will come into the playoff series and get their asses whooped because they pitched too much contact. The Cubs, I honestly think they need one more flamethrower in the bullpen. I think they need one more guy who's like, man, if that guy comes in, the game's over because you're not scoring on that guy. They need another Daniel Palencia. They need a Palencia in front of Palencia. That's what they need, man. And John, I think Iglesias from the Braves, I think he could be it, man. I'm telling you. I think that guy could be it. I do. I honestly believe that guy. I think he would be better off because I know he's 35 years old, but he's been a really good pitcher in baseball for a very long time, man. I think he would be better off in the 8th instead of being a closer. I think that would take so much pressure off of him, and he would get back to his 1.5 ERA that he had for 5 years in a row. I mean, how many saves does that guy have? He's got to be getting out.
I'm looking right now.
It's got to be a ton now.
What team is he on?
The Braves. The Braves closer, Iglesias.
Oh, Braves closer. Oh, okay. There he is.
I mean, he's got to have a lot of saves now. I mean, the guy was really good for a long time. If they're willing to part ways with him, I don't think he's going to be super expensive. I agree with John. I'm not saying they should do nothing, but I don't think they should go. No, I'm talking about in his career.
In his career.
Got to be. He's 35 years old.
Well, he had 34 last year, 33 the year ahead of that. Let's see, 235.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this guy's legit. You don't get 235 saves on accident. He's legit. No. So if he really is available, and I think a lot of the Braves are available for trade, go get him.
Can we get Ronald Acuna?
Yeah.
Is there any way we can get that guy?
Hey, Kyle. Hey, Tucker. You can leave. You can go. It's been awesome, man.
And by the way, did you see that clip I sent you yesterday of that throw from the corner?
Yeah, from Acuna.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah. Dude, did you see the opposing bench? They were like,
yes. It was amazing.
Dude, can you imagine having like Pico Armstrong on first and Ronald Acuna on second? Like the pitcher would be like shaking on the mound like these guys.
I'll tell you this, and you know this for a while. Ronald Acuna has been one of my favorite players in baseball.
He's amazing. He's
very happy for him.
And he's so fun to. He's great for baseball.
He is. Dude, I didn't realize this is going to sound so weird, but they were doing that red carpet and they were showing everyone's wardrobe and they were going over his wardrobe on the pregame. Dude, he has the smallest feet I've ever seen in my life, dude. He's got to wear like a size 9. I swear to God.
I don't know, man, but he is absolutely amazing at baseball, and he's so fun to watch. Anytime a highlight pops up on my phone, it's like Ronald Acuna. I don't even read the description. I'm like, oh, he did something. What did he do? He did something. He did something badass.
The Cubs.
Sean, you know who's looked really good in the outfield in the All-Star game, a week before the All-Star game, and yesterday's game? Kyle Tucker is starting to make some amazing catches out there, man.
You know what? Maybe he's wrapping it up for the playoff run. You know, and he's like, it's time to turn it on, not risk it, or not be worried about injuries. I mean, look, man, everyone has to go all out. I still personally think that the Cubs have held this lead in the division since April. I think they're going to continue. Maybe they fall out if the Dodgers continue and they, it's a 1-game lead. They take 2 out of 3 when they go to Milwaukee in a week, because that White Sox series, I know everyone's like, oh, it's the White Sox. But, dude, they got to face Adrian Hauser in that series. And let's just be honest, that guy is no joke. I mean, Hauser's shutting down everybody. He's sparkling 156 earned run average. He's got a 1 whip. I mean, this guy, he's doing it. So the Cubs are going to have to figure out.
They're not the Rockies.
Extra runs.
They're not the Rockies. This White Sox team is not the Colorado Rockies, guys. This team can win baseball games. And you know what? People can hate on the White Sox all they want. those trades, the Garrett Crochet trade, I mean, I didn't like them trading away, but if you're going to, that was the best case scenario. That trade was absolutely amazing for the White Sox. This team could be rebuilt by 2028. Honestly, there's a lot of talent in that White Sox farm system. A lot. Their team's going to be, I'm not saying they're going to be good, but the team's going to be competitive in a few years, very competitive. So, yeah, the White Sox are not a pushover anymore. And I don't know if you've noticed or not, Sean, but Luis Robert is starting to look like Luis Robert. Of course he is, because the Cubs are about to play him, and he's going to hit 5 home runs against them. Watch.
Yeah, just a bitter sweet, deal, because they got Kyle Teal in that deal.
Yeah, amazing. That guy's going to be every good Chicago sports team has a great Kyle, man.
What was that? Midroth was in that deal.
Yeah, he's going to be good.
Who else did they get? Did they get
was Smith in that deal?
I'm trying to look it up. I know Kyle Teal was in that deal. Oh, Noah Schultz.
Schultz.
Yeah,
he's going to be a stud.
Yeah,
that was a great trade for them, man. The
Sox did well. Oh no, it was Braden Montgomery, Chase Midroth.
Oh, Montgomery. It was Montgomery.
And
yeah, Montgomery's
Winkelman Gonzalez.
And
these were all top 15. And Kyle Teal came up and he's lighting it up. He's lighting it up for them.
He's awesome. So, Kyle Teal's awesome. He's awesome.
Here, I'll just clear the air with the White Sox hatred, guys. I was born on the north side of Chicago. When I came into this world, they injected me with Cubs right into my veins. And I was brought up to hate the Cubs or hate the Sox. And my family had Cubs versus Sox battles at family reunions. And the other half of my family lives in Colorado. There was one time we went all out for dinner. Sox fans stayed behind. We came back. All of our Cubs hats were hanging on the antenna of the house. We had to get on the roof and grab our Cubs hat. I mean, it's just been instilled in me. A really great story, Kyle. This is great. My cousin, who's now a 3rd district judge in the state of Texas, I think he's retired now, and he's not retired, but he's like doing something different, but he's still in the judicial system. He's the smartest guy in my freaking family. He took the cake from the party, or from the wedding we were at, and wrote Sox Sucks, SOCKS, on the side of my uncle's minivan, and it ate the paint. The drive home with Sox Sucks. It was hilarious. It's just been instilled in me. I didn't watch them win the World Series in 2005. My wife can tell you. She told me, I left the bar in the 7th inning. I was there with her, and I'm like, I'm not watching this shit. I'm going home. I can't do this. I literally sat in a dark room. I would not turn on the television.
Yeah, I think it was Harry from Carm, Yurko, and Harry who called people raised in Chicago who like both the White Sox and the Cubs. He calls them bisexuals. Didn't Harry just pass away too?
Who did?
Carm, Yurko, and Harry. Didn't one of those guys pass away? One of the guys who started 670 The Score. One of the guys who was one of the first guys on 670 The Score.
I think
98's when 670 started. One of them just passed away.
Carmel, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. See if you can look that up, Bruce.
I'm almost positive he just passed away. But yeah, I'll never forget him calling him bisexual. Sean, I was raised with a dad or a mom who liked the Cubs, and a dad who, not a big, huge sports guy, but he claimed, both my parents claimed to like the White Sox a little bit. So I watched both of them growing up. And I mean, first of all, I've always been the guy who, I love black and white men. Like when I was a kid, when it came to my outfit, I was more concerned with colors. So black and white looked better on me than blue and red. But I've always been a bigger Cubs fan than White Sox fan. But I do like the White Sox jersey a lot.
Yes, and you are right. Harry Tenowitz, thank you, John, for that. Harry Tenowitz did just pass away, so God bless him and his family. Our condolences from 4-Star Chicago Sports out to his family. When did that happen? I don't know, 16 hours ago. Wow.
Yeah. Sean, they made 670 The Score. Carm, Yurko, and Harry, that show made 670 The Score. That's what made 670 The Score successful. The marriage between those 3 guys on that show was one of the best sports shows in the history of sports radio. Those guys were absolutely amazing.
Man, and that was 64 years old, man. Complications from a liver transplant. Man, that is unfortunate, man. That's really sad news, man.
Yeah, rest in
This
peace,
is
man.
this
Prayers
was
to his
actually
family, dude.
this was actually 4 or 5 days ago. The New York Post just did an article.
Yeah,
60 years ago.
John's here says Monday or Tuesday. I know it was earlier this week. I know that for a fact. It was earlier
Yeah,
in the week.
that sucks. I still listen to. I don't listen to sports radio as much now that they got all these podcasts. I find it to be a little more shock jock, and that's kind of what I was saying to Dustin the other day when he brought up those comments they made about, Ben Johnson runs the organization now and it's his team and blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, I used to really respect David Haw, but it's just dumb shit like that. Like, guys, you just signed a head coach $20 million a year. Of course, you're going to go into a draft and say, hey, what guys do you want to make this thing work? It doesn't mean he runs the organization. And it just keeps piling over with dumb shit like that. And Mully is just, he just says some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I can't even listen to them in the morning anymore.
Dude, Molly is like senile.
Yeah, he's so bad, dude.
He's a weird dude, man. Really
And this is why, in the morning I turn on Bears Country podcast and I'll check their podcast out from the earlier week. I check out, I'm never up late night for Dustin and Brandon, so I always check out their show in the next morning. I just rather listen to some level-headed Chicago sports fans rather than these knuckleheads that are getting paid to
trying to get numbers.
Yeah, just saying dumb shit, man. It's just so aggravating. My wife will hear me in the morning. She's like, are you talking to yourself? I'm like, no, I'm just calling these idiots on the radio idiots. Like, I can't help it. But
yeah,
you know what?
There's a few of them that I still have a lot of respect for. I still like Tom Waddle a lot. I think Tom Waddle's a very smart guy. I think David Kaplan, I know he can be kind of a shock jock at times too, but he at least David Kaplan comes out and says, hey, listen, this is what I think. If you don't like it, then don't like it. I don't give a shit. This is my opinion. But yeah, I mean, there's, for the most part, Sean, and it seems like to me 670, they just get too off topic. Too often. Like, even this conversation right now, I'm like, man, I feel bad the listeners want to listen about baseball, not about Harry from 670 The Score. But these guys will talk about like tacos for like 45 minutes. I'm like, guys, I have 45 minutes to spare on my way to work. I'm not going to hear one baseball nugget or football nugget. Like, I have to listen to your dinner last night. Like,
I will tell you though, Kyle,
changed. It's completely.
The one chick I do love, I love Layla Rahimi, man. She knows her shit. She is really, really good. Like, I love listening to her. She is to the point. She brings facts. She brings stats. And like, and I don't know. I just, ever since The Score brought her on, I try and listen to her show the most of anybody. I don't mind Marshall Harris, and I love the fact that Dan Bernstein's gone. So all those factors really helped.
Sean John says I watch Cap, J Hood, and Waddle and Sylvia. I like both those shows.
Yeah, me too.
J Hood's not my favorite in the world, but I like both those shows a lot.
So let's get back into this.
Yeah, let's get to baseball.
Really, really quick. Where's my thing? Quick on the farm. Not much because they were on break as well. A couple of things did happen on the farm. One of those is my boy Jefferson Rojas got promoted to Double-A at 20 years old. This guy's going to be a superstar.
Yeah, probably somewhere else.
And then Jackson Wiggins, as we talked about last week, he was on innings management. Will be making his first start in about 3 weeks, I believe, coming up this week. So he'll be back on the bump. And outside of that, I was looking around.
We did have a draft.
We did have a draft. Yes,
we did. Sorry, we did have a draft, guys.
Sorry, and Ethan Conrad.
We just added a ton of prospects to that list.
Yes, and Ethan Conrad, my friends. I am sorry, I almost forgot about the draft. Our boy Ethan Conrad, the number 17 overall pick, did sign the slot value contract at $4.7 million with the Cubs. I think $3.5 million. And that's the kind of thing. Oh no, he signed for $3.5 million. Excuse me. The slot value was 4.7. So the Cubs got him for a little bit less than what the market would for that spot. Sorry, I was trying to read this. The numbers in baseball are so weird, but it was 1.2 million under the slot value.
The draft and the slot values for baseball are impossible. They're impossible. It's impossible. It's how they're like, oh, well, they're going to pass up on this draft pick so they have more money for other draft. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? Just draft the best guy available. But I'll tell you, I think the Cubs did. They really do. And I know it's easy to say that, but listen. Over the last 4 or 5 seasons, the Cubs have been very good at drafting. Very good at drafting. And this guy is no exception. This guy's hit averaging 400 for his high school and collegiate career. This guy is absolutely just a pure hitter, and he's going to be good in the majors at some point, obviously. Long down the road, but he's just another right fielder in the Cubs organization who's going to be a top prospect here for the next 3 or 4 years, who either A is going to come up to the Cubs and replace a guy like Kyle Tucker, or B is going to be traded away for some pitching. So,
and
another great addition.
I'm gonna one more Cubs top pitching prospect. I almost did forget about this. Brandon Birdsall did make his long awaited return off the DL. He pitched. What day did he pitch? No, I can't find it. He did return. I forgot to write it down. I do apologize. I wasn't planning on getting too far into the minor leagues, but he did return to the minor leagues 23 minutes ago. Here he goes. His first outing back was extremely shaky, but no worries. I hear a lot of that used in AAA. First 28 pitches, he threw 3 cutters. Final 42 pitches, he threw 37 cutters. So he was back on the hill. We'll continue to watch his progress. Jackson Wiggins is back in Knoxville, and he is pitching this weekend per this report. This comes from the Cubs minor league report that I follow very closely. And as I said, Jefferson Rojas, the man with the $1 million smile, has been promoted to Double-A. Guys, this guy's going to be fast-tracked. I think Rojas, you got expiring contracts of an aging Nico Horner. I don't know, man. If you really believe in this guy, you better get on it. And Kyle, take this away really quick. I have to plug this in before we look at the week ahead because my computer's about to die.
Well, yeah, Sean, I know that you heard Jed Hoyer say in that little clip there that nobody's untouchable, but man, Jefferson Rojas is definitely a guy I would try to keep here because I think he can be a star in the majors for a long time. And listen, I'm all about trading prospect for major league proven talent, but we already did this with Cam Smith. Some guys almost just seem like can't misses, right? We all knew Cam Smith was going to be good. I think he had 5 home runs in his first 5 minor league games. We knew he was going to be good. He's been nothing short of amazing since he joined the Houston Astros. Another team, like you said, Sean, just doesn't skip a beat. Just an absolute amazing organization. At some point, the Cubs need to start hanging on to some of this talent and bringing them up, right? It can't just be Matt Shaw and Cade Horton and PCA. You got to see how much the Cubs have been talking about this farm system, preaching about how good this farm system is for the last 6 years. Okay, well, let's see these guys, right? I know Jefferson Rojas is young, and it's going to take a while for him to get here, but you can't just trade away everybody. You should have like John S. said earlier in the comments there. Maybe not making a move at all is the best thing for this Cubs team to do, and just worry about the future, right? Just worry about the future. And Jefferson Rojas and Jackson Wiggins can play huge roles on a World Series team at some point for this team. So if you're going to go all in this year, you better be damn sure you're going to win a World Series. Damn sure. At least make an appearance.
And guys, really quick, Brandon Birdsall did return. He went 2 2/3, 2 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 5 walks, 4 Ks. And I'm not really worried. The guy's been injured all year. It's his first start back.
Just the pitch selection that you said right there. He only threw 3 the first, and then he threw 35 out of 40. Obviously he's messing with his arsenal. So he's obviously he's looking at these games as practice. So I'm not worried about that at all.
And I'll be honest, if you look over Brandon Birdsall's history, he is not a guy who walks at a high rate. So as Kyle just stated, he's probably messing with this stuff.
He's tweaking something.
Yeah, he'll get back to it. I'm not too worried about that. But we have to do what we always do and take a look ahead to the week that's gonna be. And guys, I don't want to be the burden of bad news, but I picked the Cubs in our last week to go 7-5, and unfortunately, that's exactly what they did. And they went 7-5 during that week stretch. Or it was a 12
2 weeks because we missed a show.
Yep.
Yes.
But the Today on the Hill, as we put on a little bit earlier, the Showdown Express takes the hill versus Mr. Bello and the Boston Red Sox. Oops, that's Kansas City. What did I do with Boston? There they are. So to wrap up the next two, you got Shota versus Bello, and then two all-stars to wrap this up, Garrett Crochet and Mr. Matthew Boyd. I'll be honest, I'm really looking forward to popping some popcorn and watching that game tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that you talk about that may be the best I've seen for the Cubs all season. Crochet's been absolutely amazing. Matthew Boyd's been nothing short of phenomenal. We've talked about it 100 times. That guy is right now outside of PCA the MVP of the Chicago Cubs in 2025. That game's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I think it's going to be 1-0, 2-1, something along those lines. But Sean, this sounds like a biased Cubs fans, but I think the Cubs handle the Red Sox today. I like Bello, but he's inconsistent.
Right.
I think Shota's a better pitcher right now at this point in their careers, and I think the Cubs are going to win today again if this game is played, because you guys, it looks pretty crappy outside right now.
Yeah, I'm hoping they get it in a little bit later. It is thunder. It is thunder booming by me right now and raining. So hopefully that. And then tomorrow, Boyd and Crochet. I got the Cubs. I'm gonna give Boston a little respect, and I got to split over the weekend.
Yeah, me too.
Though Boyd's been phenomenal. What do you got there, Brucey?
I think 2-0.
2-0. All right.
2-0.
Yeah.
Of course, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bruce is our ultimate homer, man. I love it. I love it out of you, Bruce.
Showdown, Boyd.
Breaking news, optimistic Bruce.
Yeah.
Well, oops,
Yeah.
wrong series, boys.
I was going to say, Shota's pitching a lot the next few days.
Hold on. Oh, this the Royals? No, that's the Sox. Where the hell
No,
are the
because
Royals?
Shota would be pitching.
Oh, the
again.
Royals of the night series. All right. And as I stated earlier, this guy, Mr. Cameron, coming into Monday, Hill is gonna so I had a little problem here. I could not find Major League Baseball had no starter for the Royals on Tuesday. CBS Sportsline had this guy Hill making his Major League debut. I don't know who's pitching for the Royals on Tuesday, guys. I have no idea. I couldn't find anything on their website about who was pitching on Tuesday. So we're just going to say right now it's Chris Flexen versus a question mark. But this guy, Cameron, Kyle and I will be at the game on Monday. For Kyle's birthday, that was given by tickets given to him by one of our sponsors for his birthday for River Street Tavern. I really appreciate Kyle letting me tag along for this baseball game on Monday. But Noah Cameron, over his last 6 starts against San Diego, 2 earned runs and 5 1/3. LA, he lasted 4 innings, gave up 5 runs. Seattle, 4 2/3. He gave up no earned runs. Pittsburgh, 7 innings, 2 earned runs, and then 7-13 versus the Mets, went 6 2/3. He allowed 7 hits, struck out 8, and allowed no runs. And then obviously we know all about Seth Lugo, my brother from another mother. Boys, what are we looking at?
I want to say 2-1, Sean.
2-1.
Hopefully Monday's a win.
Yeah.
Hopefully Monday's a win.
Kyle, I'm going with you at 2-1 in that series as well. I think the Cubs. I honestly think the Cubs can borderline sweep that, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, it sucks because if you were
to.
talking about Justin Steele, Shota Imanaga, and Matthew Boyd, I'm going sweep all day. But it's just right now the Cubs just don't have that depth at the starting rotation. That Chris Flexen is probably going to be one of those weird bullpen games, so you never know who's coming after him. So I'll go 2-1, Sean.
The one thing I don't like about Flexen is I like him better against the National League because he spent a lot of time in the American League, and the American League's a little bit more familiar with him. And that kind of showed against the Yankees. He wasn't terrible. He also wasn't as good as he's been against the National League.
Well, and Sean, he was in the Royals division at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah,
So
that's
I mean,
the other thing I don't like about it.
they are very familiar with him, and they probably know his weaknesses and his strengths. But yeah, I'll still go 2-1.
What
Bruce?
do you got in that series, Brucey?
2-1.
2-1. All right, we got
Wow, Bruce
Bruce
giving the Cubs a loss.
Bruce has got a loss on the board.
Yeah.
Bruce has got a loss on the board.
Yeah, so Bruce has the Cubs at 4-1. Sean, we got him at 3-2.
Yep, 3-2, and then we go across town for a couple of twilight games, and then we finish against our hated rivals on the south side. I don't know too much about this Martin guy. He seems to be okay.
Yeah, Shoda's definitely better. He's close. He's a 4 ERA guy, man. If Shoda pitches well, the Cubs are winning that game. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Hauser scares the shit out of me, even though Matthew Boyd, once again, Matthew Boyd's getting some really tough matchups.
He sure is.
And then I think Savali sucks, but I'm going to say 2-1 in that series as well. So
2-1. Brucey?
I'll go 2-0. Yeah.
3-0? You taking
3-0. Take the sweep?
Yeah, sweep. Yeah.
Sweet.
Damn, Bruce.
So
Let's go.
Bruce is on a 7-1 week.
Damn, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Now we're only going to get to a 6-1 week because the Horton Savali matchup will be the day after our show. We'll probably tack that into next week. So, Kyle, you have the Cubs with 3 losses on the week.
Yep, 4-3. If we're not counting that Savali game, then I got him at 4-3.
I'm gonna go 5-2.
So
And the only reason
Bruce has him at 6-1. You got him at 5-2, and I got him at 4-3.
the only reason I'm gonna do that is because it's tough. It's tough because when I look at Hauser's starts, outside of his last start versus Toronto,
John's got him at 5-2 as well.
John, all right, we're putting you on the Cadillac board, John.
Write John down. John, you're in.
5-2. We'll start running this with the fans if they want to get in on this. We can offer some prizes or something. This White Sox game, this White Sox series really throws me for a loop because I think the Cubs can beat Hauser. I mean, he gave up 3 against Baltimore. He gave up 3 against Texas. He's only given up 1 run in his last. Wow. Yeah, that's tough, man. He's only given up 1 run in his last 3 starts, and that's over 22 innings. I mean, this guy's out there. He's going 7 strong. Not striking out a ton of hitters.
Was he a left-hander?
Oh. I don't have that on his profile here. He's got a 113 whip. Let's take a look at Adrian Hauser. Adrian Hauser. Let's see. Is he a left-hander? I forgot to look at that this week. And the reason I forgot to look at that is because the Cubs have actually beat a couple of left-handers over the stretch. So I hope they're getting over that funk that they were in. He's a right-hander.
Yeah,
He's a right-hander.
You know what? I'm going to take the Cubs to win both those games because Matthew Boyd's been so well, and Hauser. I know he's got a sparkling ERA there, but the Cubs just dominate right-hand pitchers, man. They do. It does. Even the ones who are really good when they come to Chicago, the Cubs just seem to beat the shit out of them. So I'm going to change. I'm going to go 5-2 because I think the Cubs. There's a chance they could sweep the White Sox. I mean, if you look at these 2 teams on paper, Sean, they should sweep the White Sox.
The Cubs have to.
They are a much better team than the Chicago White Sox.
I mean, they almost have to with as much pressure that the Brewers are putting on. You have to sweep last place teams if you're going to pace.
That's what I'm saying. Like at some point, the Cubs need to start pulling off some sweeps and not taking 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. You got to start sweeping people, man. I mean, I think John said it earlier in the podcast. Or maybe it was Crooked Commish. He said, you got to beat those bottom feeders, man. And the Cubs have a good enough. You look at them on paper.
Yeah.
they should beat the bottom feeder. They have one of the best rosters. I mean, certainly one of the best lineups in all of baseball. And their pitching's been better than everybody gives them credit for, even though we love to harp on Colin Ray and we love to harp on Chris Flexen and all these guys who are like, man, we need a front-end rotation starter. We need a front-end rotation starter. These guys have been good for the Cubs, man. They really have. And I think the Cubs should beat the teams like the Rockies and the White Sox and the Pirates. They should be sweeping these teams. They should.
I'm going to change to 4. I'm going to change to 4 and 3.
All right, I'm 5 and 2, so we're switching.
Wait a minute. You know what I don't like? Noah Cameron's a left-hander on Monday.
Whatever.
Noah Cameron is the only left-hander the Cubs faced this week. So Seth Lugo is a righty as well. So yeah, Noah Cameron on Monday. Oh God, of course. The only left-hander we face. Actually, back-to-back left-handers because Garrett Crochet is a left-hander as well. So Sunday, Monday are back-to-back left-handers for the Chicago
but Sean,
Cubs.
the Cubs have to win on Monday because we're going to be there. So they you got to take a win. Do not pick a loss at a game I'm going to be sitting in the stand, Sean.
Yes.
Don't you dare.
If I don't pick that as a loss, then the Cubs are 5 and 2. Like, oh my God, I just don't know if I trust them. But you know what? I mean, they faced one of the best left-handers, Max Fried, and I mean, they chased him from the ball game, but Rodon made it look routine, elementary.
Not in the All-Star game, he didn't.
You know, I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna have some faith. I'm gonna have some faith in the Cubs here. I'm gonna leave it at 5 and 2. So John S. Kyle and I are gonna stay at 5 and 2, and we're gonna have Bruce at 7 and 1. Bruce's only loss was the Garrett Crochet on Sunday. So
no, didn't Bruce took a sweep.
Yeah,
his loss was one of the game against the Royals.
Oh, probably. Are you taking the game that we go to, Bruce?
Yeah, yes. I think we can trade it. I believe it. Yeah. I think they can trade it out tomorrow. Well,
ladies and gentlemen, I am sticking as the moniker of the show was a second half preview, and the description stated, "Can the Cubs hold off the Brewers?" I think that in wrapping this and putting a bow on it for the day, I think by the time September 30th comes around and we're putting a bow on the 2025 season, I'm going to put the Chicago Cubs as the NL Central champs. I think they're going to make a couple meaningful trades that separate them from the Brewers. I think the Brewers' strength of schedule will catch up with them because going into the break, they're on a pace to win 116 ball games. I just don't see that as a realistic pace for the Brewers, especially with some of these top teams left on their schedule that we talked about a little bit earlier. I mean, playing 3 against Philly isn't going to be easy. 3 at Toronto is not going to be easy. The Texas Rangers aren't to push over. You have 8 against the Cubs. You know, I want to say that, you know, they're going to answer the bell here. The Dodgers are going to answer the bell here against the stupid Brewers, but they haven't yet, and the Brewers have dominated them. It hasn't been like they're eking out victories. They have absolutely dominated the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah. But I think I feel regressions in sight. I know this starting rotation, as Kyle and I have talked about over the past hour and a half, it looks dominant. But I just see some regression in everything for the Brewers. Their lineup still doesn't scare me that much. And I know it's not a small sample size because they're there. They're doing it. They're a half game behind the Cubs or one full game behind the Cubs for the best record in the National League, which the Chicago Cubs currently have. So I don't know. High tide raises all boats. I think the Cubs are going to rise to the top. And I think they're going to maintain the lead in the division. Even if they do fall out for a brief moment, will they go head-to-head with the Brewers?
Well, it's like so annoying that the Cubs, it's one thing to expect the Brewers to be good because they're just a well-run organization. But of course, they're the one year the Cubs are finally back and they're like, we have the best record in the NL. The Brewers are like, well, we have the second best record. Like, even when the Brewers were good over the last 3 seasons, Sean, they were never competing for the best record in the NL. And now all of a sudden the Cubs are good and they're like, well, we just got better. Like, how did you just lost half your team? How did you get better? But I agree with you, Sean. I think right now, and it's easy for Cubs fans to be pessimistic and go, this is just the Brewers. They just win a lot of games. But I think they are on a hot streak right now. I'm not saying the Brewers are ever going to be on like a cold streak because I think they're too good to be in like a super long cold streak. But I do think the last month is the best they're going to play all season. Yeah, I really do.
I agree.
Yeah. And once again, guys, right now, maybe earlier in the season, it'd be a attribute. But right now, beating the Dodgers is nothing special because they're lost, man. They're lost. They need somebody to pull them out of a gutter. Maybe it's this pitcher today, Sean. I don't know anything about this guy, but maybe he's the run stopper for the Dodgers.
I got 2 honorable mentions before we put a bow on this thing. One is the red-hot Florida Marlin, Kyle Stowers. In his last 2 games, he's 8 for 10 with 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, 6 runs, and 23 total bases. This guy is an absolute stud. This isn't a 2-day thing.
Sean, every good sports team has a great
Kyle. and Kyle Stowers fits that bill for you, man. And guys, if you haven't been watching him all year, Kyle Stowers just isn't doing this over the past 2 days. This guy's been a stud all season long. So hats off to him. I'm glad the Cubs don't have to face him, but you know who does? The Milwaukee Brewers. He's coming up real quick for them.
Well, Sean, Miami in general is just a better baseball team than they were to start the season. If Miami had been playing like this all season, they'd be in a playoff conversation as well. They just got off to such a rough start, and Sandy Alcantara just has not. Every time we think he's like back, every time I'm like, all right, I think Sandy Alcantara is back to that Cy Young kind of guy. He just comes out and has a dud. So I don't know if it's the injury or if it's something he's got going on mentally, but right now. From Miami, I know they've had some great moments here and there, and they, as of late, they've been playing well. But I'm still looking to dump as many people off that team as I possibly can.
And as a proud papa always does, I have to represent. We're not just basketball anymore, folks. My Jayhawks. That's right, baby. Like father, like son. There's his proud papa, Brady Council, was selected by the Diamondbacks in the 10th round from KU. His dad, obviously the Cubs manager, Craig Counsell, played for the Diamondbacks from 2003 and 05 to 06. Not only that, Mr. Counsell became the first ever Gold Glove winner in Kansas baseball history. Gotta love that. And to put a bow on it, that's what he did. He slashed 259, 378, 473, OPS of 851, 35 walks, 35 strikeouts. Obviously, his defense was impressive. He won the Rawlings Gold Glove Award at third base, drafted by those Diamondbacks. I just had to get that out and say, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. He was the 10th round, 303rd pick, and the first Jayhawk off the board. I thought with this team that they had this year, there would be a couple of more players off the board. Hopefully, they will find their way onto rosters. But Rock Chalk Jayhawk, let's go Cubbies. I wish Brady Council all the luck in the world. Hopefully, he turns out for that Arizona Diamondbacks roster somewhere down the road. But any thoughts before we hit the high road, boys?
I just want to say thanks to Crooked Commish, John S., Breaking News Bruce, obviously. But you guys, I know that we didn't have as big of a viewership today because we had to change the time because Sean was supposed to go to help his buddy out on a food truck. But obviously, I think that event's going to get rained out. But we appreciate you guys joining us an hour early today, and we hope to see you next week, man.
Yeah, and don't forget, 6:15, Cubs are the game of the week on national television. So check it out. Get your popcorn. I'm going to make myself a big fat margarita.
Sean, is that ESPN?
No, Fox.
Game of the week.
Yeah, Fox Sports right there. Game 2. Fox Sports. Hey, you know what? I'm really happy because the national media and the national world gets to see Shota and everything he brings to the table. Love this guy. The Shota Express will continue on until next week. Don't forget, we're going to cover on Monday. Oh, and you know what, Kyle? Before we get out of here, I'm just going to touch on this. Trapilo, Turner, and our boy Luther Burden all signed. Burden got his fully guaranteed contract yesterday. And I was so busy. I meant to get something out on social media about it, and I completely forgot. I didn't even see it happen until about 4 hours after it happened. And by then I'm like, everybody got to this. But hey, man, the Cubs, the Bears open training camp today with their 4 top picks. All their picks are signed, but their 4 top picks, the guys that we definitely wanted to see starting on time in camp. So congratulations and great job by Ryan Poles getting it done and getting these guys in the camp. Any thoughts on that before we check out of here?
No, it needed to happen. And I think we talked about this on Monday's show. We knew it was going to happen at some point very soon, and obviously it happened sooner than we thought. But I think basically almost all of these second-round picks are now signed. So we knew it was once one did. Thank God for the 49ers, right? Once one guy signed, we knew the rest of them would follow suit. So,
and it looks like the Bengals might lose their first-round pick altogether, man.
Yeah, you know what, though, Sean? Let me tell you guys something right now. These NFL owners, man, this is a fraternity. Right, these guys are in this together. Every move they make as a unit. And if Shamar Stewart decides he's not going to play for the Bengals this year and he's going to go back to college and be one of the first players in the history of the NFL to not play for the team that drafted him, I can't find it to say that for sure there's a team in the NFL that's going to draft him next year. I just don't see it. I think that if he pulls a move like this, if the NFL owners want to make a statement to these kids coming out of college and these kids in the first round of the NFL draft, they might be like, well, you just missed your opportunity to play in one of the most prestigious leagues in the entire world. And you should be honored and privileged to be been drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. If you're going to go back to college over some terminology in your contract that you don't like, then we don't need you in the NFL. The NFL will make it without you, Shamar Stewart. I really honestly believe that, Sean.
Yeah. And, I think I was reading that he cannot go back to college. There's some language.
Well, he can't play for the team, but he can
play for the team, but he can practice.
He could practice. He could still spend another year at school, continue to earn his degree. But yeah, he can't play for the football team. But I mean, either way, Sean, he would have to wait till next year's draft. You can't become a free agent. The team that drafted you has the rights to you. He can't just be like, well, I'm just going to go sign with a different team. That's not how it works. So I think if he takes this year off and goes into the draft next season, I don't think he'll be drafted. I think he'll be snubbed.
Yeah, I think someone's going to probably draft him after the first round, probably third, fourth round.
No,
maybe.
Sean, I'm telling you, man, these guys are all buddies. I'm telling you, if somebody drafted him, the Cincinnati Bengals owner would call them and be like, we discussed this. Like, once these guys look at Le'Veon Bell, Sean. Look at Le'Veon Bell. The guy took a year off. Took a year off.
Never the same.
It became impossible for him to find a job.
Yeah, you're never the same, man. You're never the freaking same. Well, I look, man, I'm glad this isn't a Bears situation. The Bengals seem to have some kind of black cloud over their head with a number of players. I mean, Trey Hendrickson, there was a safety that left really good. I can't remember his name, who left a year or two ago because the contract just couldn't be met. And, they paid T. Higgins, they paid Jamar Chase, they paid Joe Burrow, and somebody needs to wake up the Bengals and say, guys, you need a defense if you're going to win a Super Bowl. So hopefully they can get these guys, and again, I don't mind the Bengals organization. That was one game I had circled on my schedule to travel to for the Bears this season. Cause I'm a big Joey B fan. I like Joe Burrow. I think he's a good dude. But he's not better than Josh Allen. Let's not get that twisted. But I do love Joe Burrow, and I hope the Bengals get it together because that's a team I wouldn't mind. And when you're looking at the AFC, that's a team that I could say I don't mind if they actually were to go to a Super Bowl or have some success.
Sean, maybe a guy like Caleb Williams or a guy like Joe Burrow, and he was being drafted, was just so talented that he's going to make a roster at some point in his life. But you know what? Shamar Stewart was already kind of a reach to me in general. I think Shamar, he did. There's just the statistics aren't there. The guy had like 3.5 sacks his entire college career. He was drafted solely based off of his athletic makeup. I just don't. These guys are just getting too privileged. I don't think he's in a position to be like, well, if you don't fix the language of my contract, I'm just not going to play for you. Like, well, dude, you're not that good to begin with. Of all the guys drafted in the first round, Shamar Stewart's one of the guys I had the biggest question marks around.
Yeah.
Him and Ted McMillan, you could put in that conversation as well. I think they both have bust potential. So I just don't think it's a smart move for Shamar Stewart. But, I also hate to side with the billionaire owners that are constantly bitching about money. But, the players, you could say that we'd have the same conversation, Sean. This is a privilege. You are 0.00001% of the population who is good enough to make the NFL. Quit your bitching and go play a kid's game and get paid a king's ransom. Sign your contract.
I agree 100%. And on that note, we're going to be all over this stuff on the Hallis Hall Hangover on Monday. We're going to have training camp stuff.
Yeah, we're actually going to have some Bears news, guys. We're going to have something to talk about.
Finally, I'm so happy about this.
Maybe have some clips from you guys from training camp, man. It's going to be.
And we will. Actually, Kyle, we won't, because we're going to be at the Cubs game.
Yeah.
Four-star Chicago Sports will still be here, guys. Don't.
But yes, and you know what? Maybe Kyle and I will drop in from the Cubs game just to give our Bears thoughts. Maybe we'll see. We'll see how the pregame festivities go on Monday.
Yeah.
I might drop in. I don't know about you.
I'm going to take it easy so I can drive us home on Monday. How about that?
Being at baseball.
Take it somewhat easy. I have a different easy than everybody else.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Love you all. Appreciate y'all.
Yep.
Brandon and Dustin will be here to kind of be a bare minimum on the Hallis Hall Hangover on Monday. We'll be back with some fantasy tips and fantasy stuff and Bears training camp to take up the first hour and a half, whatever it takes us to get through training camp on Wednesday for the Barely There podcast, and obviously the bare minimum. And then we'll see you back here next Saturday for the Northside 9.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more to talk about next Saturday too. It's just a very bleak week in the week of baseball. Although I do want to, before we get out of here, guys, shout out to PCA. Not only did he get a double in the All-Star game, but that guy is just becoming a national star.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody watched the All-Star game, but they spent a lot of time talking to Pico Armstrong. They showed him a lot. He was constantly on the television screen, constantly on the screen. And I think baseball is making a push to make Pico Armstrong the face of the league, and I think it's something he's willing to do.
And I'll tell you this right now. If you didn't have a chance, go on X. On X, they have the audio from when they were talking to him. I believe it was the second inning. Dude, great stuff from PCA, man. Talking about the kids and, how to develop their future and what to look for and about being yourself, and really good stuff out of PCA, man. That was really awesome. I was kind of blown away by his commentary. So take a look at that. Yeah.
And you guys, who won the All-Star game for the NL? Every good sports team has a great Kyle.
Kyle Schwarber. You know what was funny, Kyle? Because we were sitting at River Street watching that. I looked at Chris, or I looked at somebody and said, "Oh, Schwarber's up. National League just won."
Well, and you know what's crazy is, first of all, and I don't want to make this too long, but awesome by Major League Baseball to do that overtime thing. That was
home run off.
Awesome. I did not know that's what they did, and when I saw,
I didn't either.
This is awesome. And Kyle Schwarber down on that knee, hitting that last home run, might become one of the most iconic pictures in all-star baseball history.
Schwarbs.
Yeah.
I still have his rookie card sitting on my shelf back here. I do. Those are about to go into PSA. We're about to dump a 7,000 card rip to PSA.
Yeah.
I love Schwarbs. I wish him nothing but the best, even on a National League rival Phillies team. I absolutely love that guy, and I hope he has great
if
career.
If the Cubs drop out, Kyle, we'll root for the Phillies to win, unless the Padres are in it.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Padres.
I can't do that, Sean. My bar back at work is a Phillies fan. I can't do that.
Oh, Jimmy. All right, everybody. We love you. Peace. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Peace out.
That was a fun show. Kind of shooting the shit.